In this video, we will show how to do study comparison within the UniSyn image fusion application. Here, in this case, I have 3 studies, and what I've done offline is I've created max SUV measurements, volume measurements, max diameter measurements on the 2 prior studies. And what you see here when I select the studies is that in addition to the PET and the CT, there are these 2 PR objects, which are DICOM presentation state objects, which contain the measurements. In addition, they also contain how the 2 priors align with each other. So when I load them, all of the measurements and the alignments are restored to you. So what you do not have to do when you do comparisons, you don't have to repeat the measurements you made before, because the system saves them and brings them back when you're ready to do a comparison with a subsequent scan of the patient. So in this case, here are here's the immediate prior with its measurements. Here's the prior before it with its measurements, and you notice these pink regions. What these pink regions are the segmentation results of a segmentation that was done on the PET data. And the segmentation values that are used are shown here on the bottom left. You can either use the percentage maximum of the particular region that you're looking at, or you can use an absolute SUV value as the lower threshold for segmentation. In this case, we used 5 grams per milliliter. And we've done also a ruler measurement. If I go to ruler here, this ruler calculation is done automatically. It goes through all the transverse slices, finds a maximum diameter, and stores that as well. So without having made any measurements on the current scan, what I have are measurements for volume, maximum SUV, peak SUV, which is the persist value, which is the average around the maximum, and the lesion diameter. And this graph can be saved back to your database or exported to the PACS, whatever the case may be. Now, for the third study, here I am now with the third study. What you want to do when you're doing study comparison is, first of all, to align the studies one to the other. So we have a compare all tool that is showing you the 3 studies in transverse, sagittal, coronal, and MIP mode. You can change the mode. I'm just going to go to the CT view for now. I'm going to do a alignment. Let's see, I can do an automated alignment of the first 2. Our automated alignment always works pairwise. So I'll do the prior and the current, and you can see it's a little bit off. I will make a manual correction to the alignment and use that, and I will store that, and there is now all 3 studies are aligned, and you can go back into a single study mode. You can go to 3 modes. You can go to single study just to view the single study. You can go to the compare all mode. There's also a compare to mode that allows you to view any of the 2 studies together, and in this case I'll view them in a top-down mode, where the later study is on top and the prior study is on the bottom. And I can view any 2 studies I want. So if I want to replace the prior with the prior before it, I just have to select it and change it. And then when I do stacking and zoom and so on, all of the studies stay aligned. So again, if I want to go back now to my immediate prior, I just select there, and this study is also staying synchronized with the current study. Now, what I want to do, if I've made measurements, now I want to bring my measurement over to my current scan. So I will go here and I will say, bring this measurement over. When I click on my current study, this button becomes active, and that button allows me to place my measurement over onto the current study. Now you can see on the current study, things have gotten a bit worse for the patient. Now what you want to do, I'm going to do a partial zoom here. I'll go into single study mode. I will adjust my view. I can make adjustments on the measurements I just brought over, and I can repeat the segmentation. Now, because this has gotten a little bit worse, the segmentation is going to find larger volume, and this is the result of the segmentation. So here you can see it also in these, what the results of the segmentation were, and the volume is calculated for us, and also there is the ruler that is calculated, which is right here, the max diameter of the lesion is also calculated. And if I want to use that as a RECIST calculation, I can then have 4 values for comparison for that lesion: the volume, the max SUV, the peak SUV, and the lesion diameter. And now when I save this, I can save this graph, by the way, back to the database. When I exit the application, what's happened now, if I say yes, I want to save the registrations, I want to save my measurements. When I refresh on my latest study, I'll have a presentation state for its measurements and its connection, its alignment to the previous 2 priors. So when I load this study, these 3 studies now, having saved all the measurements, what I will get is all of the measurements are restored. So what I'll have now are, when I do my graph, you will see I have all the measurements in place. If I want to synchronize them and go to a compare all mode, they're already synchronized geographically and anatomically. They haven't lost their synchronization. So just looking at the transverse here, you can see the measurements are all here, and I have not lost my my alignment either. The images are all aligned. And that concludes the video for lesion tracking and measurement.